how involved were you, kind of as an individual, in the negotiations of signing that deal? And did you and the other girls have any say about the kind of direction that you wanted Clea to go into?
To be honest, I think, I mean, in terms of dealing with the contracting and stuff like that, obviously we had our own lawyers at the time who were guiding us through that and advising us in the best way possible to make sure that we were looked after and signing the right kind of deal for us. I mean, in terms of creative direction, and I think the direction in which the band went, when I think back to it now, we didn't have a lot of say in where we went visually, and the kind of, you know, the look of the band and the singles that were chosen. Unfortunately, we didn't really get too much of a say in that, if I'm honest. Which kind of, yeah, I think we were quite young, obviously. We were very naive to the industry and the business, and we were so, I think, grateful to have this opportunity and be signed and be recording music that we just kind of rolled with it. Is the reality of it, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it was amazing, and our first singles and everything were fantastic, but I think when I look back now and I see the direction in which the band went, it wasn't necessarily us and who we were personality-wise, wasn't truly reflected in the videos that were created and the moodiness of it all and the dark. I think because there was always going to be that comparison with Girls Loud and that kind of, I think we almost were pushed into going into even more of a different direction that was a lot more mature, to be honest. It was a lot moodier, darker, kind of a bit sexier, a bit kind of, and we lost that kind of fun side of us. Like we were so young and we'd just been on this huge TV show where people got to know us personally. They got to see our personalities. They got to see what kind of girls we were. And suddenly we came out with, don't get me wrong, fantastic music. I loved our music, but we came out in a very, very new direction that perhaps wasn't, perhaps was a conflict from how people had got to know us on the show. I think that's my feeling of it, is that it wasn't young and fun and kind of fresh. It was this kind of darker, moodier vibe. Which, it wasn't really us, to be honest. And that, maybe that was part of the problem. Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea if this is true or not. This is just coming from me as a fan. It felt to me as if a bit further into Clea, like you did get into more of that, like round about the kind of like second album period, like we don't have to take our clothes off and Lucky Like That. That's felt a bit lighter and sort of more light-hearted and a bit more fun and that's how it felt to me.
But that's because we then weren't with the big label anymore. We were signed independently, so we had a say now for the first time. We had an opinion. We were recording songs that we wanted to record, and we very much were more part of the conversation then. We weren't removed from the label. You know, when you're with a big label like that, and especially back then, you know, you can very easily become manufactured because you have the big bosses telling you what they think is going to sell and what they think is going to work for you. And you're like, oh, well, you must know because, you know, you've been in the industry 20 years and, you know, they're the ones putting the money in. They're the ones backing it. So you've kind of, to a certain degree, got to go with it. Whereas I think as you get older and as we were growing up within Clea, we then realised when we had gone independent with our management that we finally had a say, and we wanted to bring that funness back that we hadn't really had. You know, we wanted to smile, we wanted to enjoy our music and like create something that everybody wants to listen to and could dance around to. So that was definitely the transition.
Yeah, I mean, I that's my sort of favoured era, if you like, of Clea. But yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because I mean, just in terms of like single sales, it kind of dropped off by then, but that's perhaps more because just the industry's fickle and time had
Yeah,
elapsed.
yeah,
But if you'd have been maybe a bit more like that in the early going, it might have
yeah,
taken off a bit more. I mean, we don't know,
yeah.
do we? But
Exactly,
yeah,
and this is what I mean. I can and me and the girls often do have these conversations, and we reflect on a lot actually, and we just kind of say, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm so still to this day so proud of the first album we created, and the music we did record was to this day still stands now.
absolutely, yeah,
It really does, and it was beautiful music, like incredible, powerful lyrically, and I've said to the girls before, I listen back to that album now, and the biggest difference is when I listen to what we were singing about, we hadn't had those experiences yet.
yeah.
So there was
And
always going to be, they were great songs and we loved singing them and we were recording them. But now I listen back and I go, oh my God, I listen to that and sing that in such a different way now because I've lived it. But at 17, 18 years old, you've not lived life enough yet to have to sing those songs with the kind of conviction and the passion and the, you know, have that relatability to the music you're making, because we literally hadn't really had those experiences yet. So
I mean, is that something you ever think about doing? Like, just like, would you ever even like consider singing some of those songs again?
oh my God,
today?
I'd actually love to. Honestly, I've said this to the girls a few times. I was like, we could do one night at GAY and just do a complete like remake of like Identity Crisis and some of the Trinity tracks, and actually to go back and sing those songs now would just be a whole different experience, because we would perform them so differently, and they would mean so much more now than they did back then. And a lot of those tracks, remember, didn't even see the light of day. So unless you were a fan and you followed our career and you had those albums, you know, a lot of those great songs have not even been heard before. So